Hello parents and students, this is Mr. Vangerud, and I'll be doing your Algebra 1 class this year for you 8th graders. And I'm just sending this out in advance of the school year so that you have some idea of what to expect. We last year started doing this algebra class a little bit differently. We do what's called a flipped math approach now. It's possible in this day and age of technology to teach math in this way. We had good results with it last year. And so let me tell you a little bit about how it works. Some of you might have heard of a flipped math classroom, and others of you it might be a new thing for you. It is becoming more popular because, as you know, if you've taken a math class, traditionally, parents, I'm sure you remember that you get a new lesson each day and the teacher instructs you on how to do it, does some examples on the board for you to see. Then you get a homework assignment, and maybe you get 5 or 10 minutes to work on it at the end of class. Then you have to go home and finish it at home. And sometimes people run into problems with that because they don't remember how did they do that in class. You know, that gets confusing to them, and they have questions that can't be answered a lot of times. And so now, because we have technology, I can record a video of instruction for the lesson, and students can watch it at home the night before we're going to work on that lesson, and they then have a better understanding of how that works. When they come to class, they already have some knowledge of how it works. If they have questions from the video, they can have those addressed, and then they get the problems to work on from the book in class. So there are teachers there available to help them out. I can help them figure out what how to approach the problem and things like that, and help make sure that they're getting a better understanding of the material. So that's how a flipped math classroom does work. We have them watch the video at home, then come do the work in class the next day. And that's the basics of it. Now I'm just going to give you some information about the course, and I've started giving you some about the basic course, how it works. I'm also going to tell you about the opportunity to work at your own pace, and something we have called proficiencies. The basic course, how it works, it revolves around learning targets. As you know, most math books have chapters, and then each chapter is split into lessons, and each lesson usually lasts one day, and then you can continue through the chapter till you get to the end and take a chapter test. What we're doing is we're having this revolve around learning targets. Learning targets are specific statements of what the skill is that's to be learned. Parents, you may be more familiar with this as sort of objectives. That term, now they call them learning targets because they're trying to write them in ways that would be more accessible to students for understanding. Here's an example of a learning target. This is actually the first learning target of the course. The first video is based on this learning target. I can translate between words in algebra. A very important skill to have, especially for getting word problems unpacked and figuring out how to put them into a math problem to be solved. And so that is the first one. And that's part of the first lesson. Okay? As it said above, each lesson has 1 or 2 learning targets, not more than that though. So they'll watch the video at home, as we said, and work on the book problems the next day in class where help is available from the teacher. This worked quite well last year, especially for those who really took advantage of that opportunity and did it as it was intended to be done. And I put this note in, please watch the videos at home, because a student may come and say, you know, Mr. Vangerud had a power-up grant last year, and so as a result he's got a classroom set of iPads, and I don't really need to watch the video at home because I could watch it the next day at school, which technically is true. However, they're then sort of defeating the purpose of this approach to learning math, because they're trying to do it all in class, and what's going to happen is their homework time on the book problems is going to be cut short, and they won't get all their questions answered. So it really is important to watch the video at home, understanding that there will be some nights where things will come up and it will not be possible, and we can accommodate that. But as a regular practice, it works best. The students who really succeeded the most last year are the ones who diligently watched the videos at home every night and then came back to work on the homework the next day, the book problems that is, and to ask questions that they had come up from the videos and from the problems themselves and get them answered. There are always some who don't have internet at home, and we do create solutions for that. We have opportunities for them at school. We'll work that out. As long as I know that that's the case, we can work it out. All right, so that's basically how it works. Working at your own pace. There is the opportunity to work at your own pace. Some students will find that they can master the learning targets faster than the normal pace of a lesson a day. And because we're one of the fortunate few in the district that has a classroom set of devices, we have iPads. If, for instance, the student watched the video the day before at home, came, got their questions answered, did the book problems in class, and say there's still 15 minutes left in the class, they can take one of the iPads and watch the next video in the sequence. So that's one of the ways we use the iPads. There are also practice quizzes on there and other resources for them to access. But this works well for some students. They take more responsibility for that, their learning, and that's one of the really nice things about the technology is the students tend to be more excited about learning and putting in the time to learn how to do it well. Mastery, however, is more important than speed, and students must demonstrate mastery of learning targets to continue working ahead. If we see you're having a problem, for the student's sake, we're going to slow them down and say, look, you're not doing well in your homework assignments, your book assignments, your tests, you're missing things, and I think it's because you're working too fast and you're not really taking the time to make sure you are understanding it. So if that's what happens, then we will slow you down. All right. On some days, particularly the longer days, like block days, all students, whether they're working ahead or at the class pace, will stop what they're doing, and we'll be having some more extensive problem-solving type of learning activities where we work on a problem that makes you take those learning target skills that you've gained and apply it to a real-world situation. And this is a very valuable piece of learning because it makes them take responsibility for their learning, and also teaches them to, that this isn't just stuff that is in books, this is stuff that you use in the real world. And so that's the purpose of that. Finally, proficiencies. You probably already know about these from previous year. In Algebra 1, there are 18 learning targets that are so foundational to Algebra 1 that they must be passed twice by each student. And we call these 18 special ones proficiencies. And there are 18 for the whole year, and they are split up in this way. 8 of the proficiencies for trimester 1, 7 for trimester 2, and 3 for trimester 3. And the idea is that each week we take a day and we have a tracker system on the computer that will kick out individualized quizzes on these particular topics for each student based on what they've passed so far. And so once they've passed that proficiency twice, they no longer have to take it. They get as many tries as they need in order to pass the proficiencies twice. At the end of trimester 1, if they haven't passed the 8 proficiencies for trimester 1, the grade will be an incomplete. That's a temporary grade until they finish it, the proficiencies, and then once they've passed them, that's entered in the grade book, and their final grade is given for that trimester. They have to pass all 18 to pass on to the next course, would be geometry. And so this might seem like a sort of daunting thing, but we do get the kids through this, and they do pass it. And some pass it in very few attempts, some need more, but this way it gives a higher level of mastery for these 18 specific foundational skills. So if you want to see the list of proficiencies, the first learning target video, or print off the iPad permission form, the links are on the original email that you received when you opened this video. And the iPad permission form, if you'd like to fill that out and sign it, you read it, and have them bring it to school the first day, that would be great. Here is my email and voicemail. And so if you want to get in touch with me, I will get back to you in a timely fashion. I'm anxious to meet all of you, parent and student alike, and work with you and help your students succeed. And that's why I'm here, and look forward to working with you all. And I will see you on the first day of school, students.